It began with a simple letter. A letter mailed to 3 California newspapers in 1969, claiming responsibility for a series of brutal attacks. Inside was a cryptic cipher, promising clues to the killer's identity. The writer called himself the Zodiac. What followed was a reign of terror that turned Northern California into a hunting ground. Lovers were gunned down on dark roadsides, stabbed beneath the stars, and taunted through letters that mocked police. To this day, the Zodiac Killer remains unidentified. But was he a criminal mastermind, or just a sadist who knew how to play with fear? The 1960s were a time of upheaval in America. The Vietnam War raged. Protests filled the streets. San Francisco was the epicenter of the counterculture movement. Peace and love on the surface, but underneath, violence simmered. The Zodiac Killer struck during this turbulence, feeding on fear and exploiting the media. He wasn't just killing, he was performing, turning his crimes into a spectacle that gripped the entire nation. December 20th, 1968. On a quiet road near Vallejo, California, high school students Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday were out on their first date. They never came home. Both were shot dead in a lover's lane. The killer left no trace, no fingerprints, no motive. Police had few leads. But 6 months later, it happened again. On July 4th, 1969, Darlene Ferrin and Mike Mageau parked at Blue Rock Springs Park. A man approached their car, shined a flashlight, and opened fire. Darlene was killed instantly. Mike survived, barely. Hours later, the Vallejo Police Department received a phone call. A calm, monotone voice confessed to the murders. That voice belonged to the Zodiac. Within weeks, newspapers across the Bay Area began receiving letters. Written in strange, blocky handwriting, they were signed with a symbol, a circle with a cross through it. The killer demanded the letters be printed on the front page, or more people would die. Inside was a cipher, a coded message made of symbols and strange characters. He promised that solving it would reveal his identity. For weeks, professional cryptographers struggled. But it wasn't the FBI who cracked it, it was a schoolteacher and his wife. The solution was chilling. I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest. Man is the most dangerous animal of all, but the identity of the Zodiac? Never revealed. The Zodiac didn't stop. On September 27, 1969, college students Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were picnicking by Lake Berryessa. A man approached wearing an executioner-style hood, with the Zodiac symbol stitched across his chest. He tied them up, then stabbed them repeatedly. Brian survived, but Cecilia did not. Before leaving, the killer scrawled his symbol on their car door, along with the date and his signature. 2 weeks later, in San Francisco, taxi driver Paul Stein was shot in the head. This time, witnesses saw the killer wipe down the cab before walking calmly away into the night. Police arrived within minutes, but due to a dispatcher error, they were told to look for a black suspect, while witnesses had clearly described a white man. The Zodiac slipped away. The letters grew bolder, more arrogant. He claimed he had dozens of victims, though only 7 could be confirmed. He drew diagrams of bombs he threatened to plant on school buses. He mocked detectives, telling them they'd never catch him. He even phoned into TV shows, laughing at their desperation. The Zodiac wasn't just a killer, he was a puppeteer, pulling strings of fear across the entire state. Over the decades, hundreds of suspects have been investigated. One of the most famous was Arthur Leigh Allen, a troubled man with disturbing tendencies who lived near many of the crime scenes. Police searched his home, found weapons, and even had multiple witnesses identify him as suspicious. Yet DNA evidence later ruled him out. Other suspects included Richard Gaikowski, a journalist with links to the Bay Area press, and more recently, Gary Francis Poste, a man some investigators believe fits the Zodiac's profile. Still, none of these names have ever been definitively proven. Some believe the Zodiac was a single man. Others think there were multiple killers using the same identity. And then there are those who argue the case will never be solved, because the Zodiac was simply better at hiding than anyone ever imagined. It's been more than 50 years since the Zodiac's first kill. His ciphers remain partially unsolved, his identity still a mystery. Unlike most serial killers, the Zodiac seemed less interested in the act of murder than in the performance, the letters, the fear, the headlines. He wanted immortality. And in a way, he got it. Today, we still whisper his name. We still chase his codes. We still wonder who he really was. Maybe he's long dead. Or maybe, he's still out there. What do you think? Was the Zodiac a criminal genius who slipped through the cracks, or just a sadist who got lucky? Let me know in the comments. And if you thought this story was disturbing, wait until you hear about the Springfield three women who vanished into thin air, leaving behind no clues, no suspects, and no answers. That's coming in the next video. Don't miss it. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching.